Welcome back to Rebounding 101, week 3. We call Rodman Rebounding. We're going to work on how to tap the ball to ourselves, Rodman style, how to tip it out to a shooter, how to pin and pivot under the basket, and how to really go after pursuing the ball aggressively from a lot of different situations, as well as an offensive move for getting around a defensive rebounder with a spin move, and also working on free throw rebounding, specifically for the lowest position, the middle position, and the high position, or the player in charge of rebounding against a shooter at the free throw line. So let's get to it. We're going to start our workout with tipping the ball to ourselves. This is the simplest action using a tip, but also the most unused, where players don't often do this. This is something that we took from watching Dennis Rodman do a lot of rebounding, something he did very often. Working on hand position, having the hands up by the ears to get up quickly, trying to meet the ball high and tip it to an empty space, usually the kind of baseline corner just outside the backboard where no one else is occupying that space and no one's really likely to try to chase you down and compete for that space. Secondly, we're looking at tipping it into the basket, kind of building off our skills of anticipation we started with in week 1, trying to really work on predicting where the ball is going to go, and now more precisely, the timing of when it's going to come off the rim within reach that we can go up and meet it, catch it in the air, and put it back in the basket without needing to land. Pretty advanced skill, just takes a lot of repetition, trial and error to get better at. Tipping out to a teammate, this is another advanced skill using prediction ability to predict where it's going to be and how high and how fast it's coming down within reach, and then going up to tip it outward. Say we're in a crowd of defense and offense. There's um, too much congestion in the paint. We're not really going to be able to catch it or score it, and there's an open shooter outside, and maybe we can't even catch it. We're better off tapping it out to a teammate that can catch it, maybe get a 3-point shot or reset our offense. Pin and pivot, another signature Rodman move. Instead of fighting for the box out or fighting against the box out, we're just using the position we have on the outside of our defense to push that defender under the basket and actually rotate toward the baseline, toward the backboard a little bit, so that the 70% probability of rebound bouncing off that weak side away from a shooter is going to fall somewhere in that pie shape between where our body is and that backboard. And again, kind of like our tip to self, protected space that no one else is going to really be fighting us for. And next is our spin move. Simply using the momentum of a defender trying to box us out to rotate our body, kind of roll off their back like a spin move, and come up on the outside, hopefully going toward where the ball is going to land. Again, using our predictive ability to have an advantage. We know where the ball is going better than anybody else on the floor. We're able to use a move like this to get to the right spot, kind of unpredictably to our defender. Next, we're looking at free throw rebounding. The first and simplest is that low man position, just driving that inside top leg across our opponent's path. So we'd be on defense here, the shooter would be on the other team, and the guy right next to us on my left, in this case, is trying to get around us to get the ball. We're just simply driving that hip into him and across his path, and then trying to stay with him. This is more traditional box out, where based on the timing of the rebound, we usually have a couple seconds to hold that guy before the rebound's coming down. Next, we're looking at the offensive rebounder position, kind of the middle position up the lane, and just kind of avoidance techniques. We've already talked about our swim move and our spin move, just more specific application of those here in the free throw setting. Both can be very useful. I usually think about the swim move as the way to get to the inside, and that spin move as a way to get to the outside, just based on positioning and how our defender is moving against us. And then lastly, we're looking at rebounding against the shooter. So defensive role again, and trying to get that first 2 to 3 steps, depending on your size, your stride length. 2 steps is great if you can get there. 3 is okay. The shooter's not allowed to cross the line and go for the rebound until after the ball has hit the rim. So you have that gap of time advantage for you between when it's released, when you're allowed to move, and when the shooter's allowed to move after it hits the rim. So like 1.5, 2 second delay between those 2 points. So it's plenty of time to get a couple steps. We want to make sure we are making contact and putting that forearm in the chest of the shooter is the best way I found to consistently stop them, and also kind of use that as your antennae, so to speak, so that you have a feel of where they are and you can go ahead and look for the ball without having to look at them. So make contact first in 2 steps and then pursue the ball. And we got a couple examples here. One example where the defender here does not make contact and the shooter's able to get around him and go get the ball. And it's very common. You might say, I've got shooter, and then you step in his way, but you don't make contact. And he's able to maybe swim move or spin move or squirrel around you somehow and go get that ball. So we want to make sure that's consistent with how our feet are moving, how quickly we're getting there, and always making contact forearm to chest. That's it for week 3. We'll see you on the court.